What's going on, guys? Jackson here from Vendetta Sports Media, and welcome to the first episode of a brand new podcast here on the Vendetta Sports Podcasting Network. This is a new basketball podcast called Court is in Session, which actually my esteemed guest, Sir Alex Chick III, he helped come up with the name for it. And yes, it is a play on words of the sport of basketball and my name, Jackson Law, court, basketball. It all kind of goes hand in hand. I'm
For sure.
so, but if anyway, thank you so much for tuning in. And if you guys enjoy the podcast today and any other videos that you see on YouTube, or if you're listening on any other platform where you listen to podcasts, then go ahead. Follow us here at Court in Session. If you're watching this on YouTube, then go ahead and subscribe to us on YouTube and make sure to hit the notification bell so you can be notified whenever a new episode of the podcast drops or any of the ton of other things that we got going on with the website. As I've already stated, I am joined by Sir Alex Chick. Alex, how are you doing this evening?
Dude, I'm all right. So excited for the podcast. The site needed a really good NBA podcast, and Jackson Law has to be the guy for it. He's got to be the guy for it.
You had an NBA podcast on the site.
We did, but I know this about myself. I'm probably not the best host. I like to rant. I like to ramble too many times, and I think like a host's job is to keep people on. Plus, I didn't really have a lot of time to do it, and I even have less time than I do now. So I feel like me being like a guest on podcast, that's more of my calling. So. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, and we should have Garrett Burrows from also a part of Vendetta Sports Media will more than likely be joining us. He was running a little bit late, so Alex and I decided that we were going to go ahead and get started with some of the more broader topics that we have to start out. And as always, the first episode of a podcast may run a little bit longer than what we intend to, so just bear with us. In the future, we'll get these nice and condensed and looking good. But Chick, the 2021-22 season is officially over. Feels like we've gone back to the mid to late 2010s with the Golden State Warriors winning the title. They win, was it their fourth title in 8 years? Is that correct?
Yes. 2015, 17, 18, and now 2022.
Yeah, and they've been to a lot in that time frame. What is it? It was just a 2-year break from when KD and Clay got injured in the finals, and Kawhi, all way back in the day when Kawhi was on the Raptors and they won the title. Man, just it feels like forever ago, but it was just 2 years ago.
The pandemic, dude. It's the
pandemic. The pandemic. We had the bubble. That's a legendary
dude,
NBA
that feels like so long ago now. It's weird, like the time. It's like, oh yeah, we don't know it's 2022, but then I think about the NBA bubble. It's like, dude, that felt like forever ago, but it was only like 2 years ago. So it's crazy. Pandemic just messed up everyone's like time. Like, I don't get it.
Yeah. But so real quickly, we'll just kind of talk about the season, and we won't spend too much time on this. But Chick, I just want to ask, what was something that stuck out with you from like this season? It could be a team that you think overachieved, underachieved, surprise team. It could be like a take that you had that you were spot on and you think kind of went under the radar a little bit. I throw it out to you to pick something to kind of help summarize your view of this past season.
One thing that thrown me off was Minnesota. Minnesota got the 7th seed. They were in the play-in, I believe, right?
Yep.
They actually overachieved for me. I'm not the biggest believer in Cat. I didn't know how to feel about Anthony Edwards, so and I don't know how well D'Lo played this year. Like, I don't watch a lot of Minnesota Timberwolves basketball. I feel like the only people that do watch them are Timberwolves fans, so it's kind of. But I definitely felt like they overachieved. If you would have told me before the season that they would have been the 7th seed, I would have said you're smoking dick. So I didn't think that was good. I didn't really have too many takes. I really liked Denver's chances. I thought Jamal Murray was going to play this year, at least at the end of the playoffs, and I thought he was. But what I did like about this season, I think the NBA is really trending more and more towards this is the parity of the league.
Mm-hmm.
It's so competitive now. It's getting like the East, like everyone used to dog on the East, and the East was a super competitive conference. The West was super competitive. When we came into the playoffs, I was like, I have no idea who's going to the finals, and that's how the NBA should be. If you have no idea who's going to make it to the finals, you have a really watchable league because any given night, this team can just win 4 in a row, make an upset. So I felt like that was great for the league. Of course, you start seeing trends as the NBA goes on, like the NBA playoffs goes on, but the parity of the league starting out in the NBA playoffs, you're like, dude, I really don't know who's going to the finals. Everyone, and it's good when the fans of the league are talking shit to each other and be like, no, we're going to the finals. No, we're going to the finals. No.
Mm-hmm.
So it is really good for the league. It's good for the fans. It was so the parity of the league. I really enjoyed that. So
yeah, you took exactly what I wanted to talk about with this segment, which was just yes, which is odd to say that the league is that trending more towards parity when Golden State won the title this year. But here's the thing: it wasn't like they were the clear cut favorite to win the title.
exactly.
Now, I'm not like how a lot of the Golden State fans on Twitter are. It's like, oh, face so much adversity this season. We were underdogs. They counted us out, and it's like, not really. You still have Steph, and we didn't know what Clay was, and the emergence of Jordan Poole. You ask anybody that has watched the NBA since it shut down, that Jordan Poole, ever since he's been in the league, was the worst player in the NBA. There's 200 and something roster spots or something like that. He was dead last. If there's 214 roster spots, I'm just making that number off the top of my head, then he was literally right. 214th. Okay, there were probably dudes that were stuck on G League rosters that probably deserved his spot more than what he did, but he just exploded and blossomed into a great player. And that to me just goes to show how great of a front office and an organization Golden State has consistently had, because you talk about the drafting of Kuminga, Moody, Wiseman, who didn't even see the court this season, is still, I think, is too young and too good of a raw project just to completely give up on. So, but it's even then, if Golden State is still competitive, it's going to be with players that aren't Steph, aren't Draymond, aren't Clay in the future. So it still kind of adds to that parity level. But then you look at some of these young and up and coming teams. You look at teams like the Memphis Grizzlies, who finished second in the Western Conference this season, and the type of weapons that they could go out and get better with. You look at a team like the New Orleans Pelicans, who have, in a similar vein, if not more so than what Memphis has, to get better, because Zion will be coming back. We've seen what he can play.
Hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully he comes back healthy. But assuming he does come back healthy, the draft ammo that they have, and like some of the veteran players like CJ McCollum, movable contracts, and young stars like Brandon Ingram, they can get a lot better. And then you also see teams out east, like I know Cleveland kind of fell off at the end, but they were dealing with a lot of injuries.
They were in the running.
They were in the running. I remember it was over halfway through the season. We were pretty much almost to the All-Star break, and JB Bickerstaff was still in talks for Coach of the Year because Cleveland was hanging around like that 4th or 5th
They
spot.
were top 4.
They were for most of the season. Like I said, they had a lot of injuries down the stretch, and it was with players that you wouldn't think. But Darius Garland is an absolute stud, in my opinion.
He's really good.
He's really good. And then you have the rise. I guess like another aspect of this is just the rise of some of these really young players, and the league is in such good hands. And it's like some of them are popping up out of nowhere, like Ayo Dosunmu from Chicago. The guy is amazing. He's a hooper. He's a baller. I love watching him play. I got to see him play live this year when they came to Memphis. So I
wanted the Spurs to take him. I wanted the Spurs to take him.
It happens sometimes, man. It happens to all of our franchises. We don't get a guy that ends up blossoming. Just ask the Memphis Grizzlies when they took Hashim Tibet.
Tough.
That is tough. But then next year too, it's gonna be so much more difficult for some of these teams that are like fringe competitors to try to compete. Like you talk about how overachieving Minnesota was, and I kind of agree with that, because when you look at the teams that are coming up next season, those fringe playoff teams that were in the play-in, or just, I'm not going to even say missed the play-in, because like you got like the Kings, OKC, yeah, whatever. But like the Clippers should also be fully healthy next season.
Everyone's forgetting about the Clippers
fully healthy
right now,
Clippers team at their worst is like the 4th seed out west, and that's at their worst. That's if Kawhi and PG are healthy enough to play in the playoffs, but they only play like 60 games each throughout the season, and they're not playing too many games together and with a fully healthy roster with Norman Powell and the likes. Denver is getting 2 of their stars back. They're getting Michael Porter Jr. and Murray, Jamal Murray, both are coming back for next season. And of course, they have the 2-time MVP Jokic on their side too.
So well deserved.
We may talk a little bit more about that later when Garrett gets here, but just I cannot wait till next season. It's like seeing how this season ended. It wasn't like disappointing, because, and it's not disappointing from a sense that my team didn't win, but it was just disappointing because it was something that we'd seen 100 times over. But the get there was still satisfactory and still enjoyment, because like you said, there's a ton of engagement from all these fans, because it feels wide open going into next season. And we'll give our way too early predictions for next season. It feels so wide open. Even the finals, it's not even been a week yet. It may be getting close to a week, but today, as of recording this episode, the Warriors had their parade, and it just still feels so wide open. You have absolutely no idea. You really have to watch every single free agent move this offseason, every single draft pick in just a few days. It's this Thursday. We're recording on a Monday, and it's this Thursday is the draft. I believe. Just crazy. You really are going to have to watch. And that's why the NBA is one of the most fun leagues to watch of any league. Train, Cameo, there's my co-hosts, Pacific Union Railroad. Shout out to them.
Man, and I think what a lot of fans, and I would even say go as far as a lot of GMs don't understand, is when it comes to playoff basketball, the bench matters so much. Like, people talk about the Warriors, their bench was really deep. Like I mean, you have Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, which is probably their big 3, right? You had Andrew Wiggins. Andrew Wiggins, Jordan Poole, right? If you're talking about Jordan Poole as a 5th option, you're doing okay. You really, and like you said, James Wiseman hasn't played yet. And, you got to expect for him to be coached up, and he'll be at least a playable player. You know what I mean? He's not going to. I don't think he'll be a bust. I don't know what his ceiling or floor is, but he'll be okay as like the 4th, 5th, 6th option on a very talented Warriors team. So what people don't understand is, yes, you need those stars. And I think that's where a lot of teams falter. Like, oh, we have the star, we're going to be fine. It's not like that, especially when you get to the playoffs, because at least you're going to play 16 games in the playoffs. If you win 4, whatever, you got to win 4 at each level. Most you can play is about 28 games. Like, in that range, you're going to have bad nights from your stars. And it's if your bench can pick it up. Like, there's always like games that you're going to lose in the playoffs. But this is why I hate the term must win. I hate the term must win. The must win games are it's such a stupid fucking concept.
What if it's a game 7?
Either way, but like you need it's like it's a must win game. It's like this as a coach, like, and every game's a fucking must win.
Yeah.
I'm trying to win every fucking game. That's what it is. Every game's a must win game. So if I was ever got interviewed, it's like, is this a must-win game? I'm like, every game's a must-win game. Like, what kind of concept is?
Give him a Popovich answer. That's very much a Popovich answer.
Game 1 you lose. Game 2 is the next game a must-win game. Every game's a must-win game. Like, I don't. So when you have every game that is a must-win game, because that is my mentality, you need a bench. You have to, because you're gonna have nights where your stars are not gonna be able to hit anything. Steph's done it. Steph is the greatest shooter in the NBA, and that's not even a debate anymore. Like, he's the greatest, and there's those nights when he just shoots 2 for like 12 from 3, or it happens.
This is a thought I have, and this can be like a pseudo segment here, but do you think, because I don't think, or I do think this. Either way, here's the question. I don't think that the Warriors win a title. They do. The Warriors do not win this title without Andrew Wiggins.
They don't.
They don't.
They don't. I'm like, and I know I just kind of praised Jordan Poole. I did, but I think he's kind of being a little bit overrated because I mentioned he's like the fifth option on that team. Like, Jackson, when you have four other options to worry about, like that fifth option, yeah, like that fifth option is going to get his points. Like, that's what it is. Like, when you have to worry about Steph, who can be double teamed every night and still make shots, Klay Thompson, you have to watch out for him on the off ball because he's a catch and shoot kind of player, especially if he comes off a screen, give him the ball, shoots. He scored how many points? Like 40, 30 points and took like 6 dribbles or some shit like that. Like, that man's the definition of a catch and shoot, and I'm going to make that shit kind of player. Like, you know, then you got to watch Draymond Green, he's a very post player. He doesn't really have a lot of range. And I know he doesn't score all that much, but you still have to respect him right there down low. Okay. And yeah. And then you have Andrew Wiggins, right? Andrew Wiggins was a former #1 overall pick. No, he hasn't lived up to that standard, but as a fourth option, yeah, that's fucking dangerous. Yeah. He's absolutely. So I don't think the Warriors win without Andrew Wiggins, and that's not a crazy thing to say.
No, and I think what Wiggins brought these finals, and even just the whole playoffs, that you know, it was easy to clown on him in the regular season for being an all-star starter, and the only reason
I clowned on him.
I 100% clowned on him too because before the all-star break he started to really drop off, and he really didn't do much of anything until the playoffs rolled around. But first off, we all know why he got in there. It's because of the South Koreans, the K-pop fans. They voted him in as a starter. You know, we're gonna have to have another stipend in there. We had the Zaza Pachulia stipend that stripped away a lot of the voting power from the people. You know, now we're gonna have to take even more power from the people because the South Koreans decided to get involved in the NBA.
They're powerful.
They are powerful.
They're powerful.
Listen, man, they put their mind to something and they do it. Just look at them now. Look at them.
Dude,
they got the North Koreans to the north, man. You know, nuclear weapons pointed at them all the time. They still have a flourishing society. Look at them go.
They're scary, man. I'm scared of those guys. Like, those guys, like you better not say anything they don't like because they will cancel your ass, and somehow they're gonna find that little country is gonna find enough firepower to get you done. Like, you're just done.
They will unite around that cause too, just like they did voting Wiggins into the All-Star game. But here's the other thing too, the dynamic that he brought. You talk about how like Klay Thompson, spot up shooter, Jordan Poole is like kind of a spot up shooter, but you know, he can kind of find his own shot around the 3-point line. He kind of does what Steph does, where it's running back and forth off of ball screens, dribble handoffs, moving screens, I should say, which please
screens.
Please God.
Draymond Green's the worst moving screen guy.
The NBA, did you see him? Did you see his mixtape for trying out for the 49ers for their mini camp that's coming up? You know, where he's blocking 2 dudes at the free throw line, you know, fully extended. I know he's an ex-NFL player, but you know, I thought his after basketball career was podcasting and, you know, not protecting the pocket for Trey Lance. But anyway,
that does crack me up. The jokes, like, he goes into the halftime and he's like on the podcast. Those memes make me laugh, dude. He's like, so I didn't have a good first half. We're about to play the second half. Don't worry, guys.
Yeah. Shut up, my guy LeBron, billionaire. Look at that man go. But so yes, moving screens. Please address that, NBA. Every team does it now, but it's because you never punished the Warriors for doing it. So please start punishing teams. Start calling offensive fouls.
I kind of got mad that the refs, like, I loved the officiating at the beginning of the year, and then
they tailed off.
And then they went back
because the players complained, and that's the reason why. The fans loved it, the players hated it, and so they're going to kowtow to the
and so now the players loved it, and then the fans started complaining about the officiating again. Go figure. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But anyway, so to the Wiggins point. What Wiggins was able to do, first off, his defense, his on-ball defense was probably the best of anybody out there. In late game situations, shutting both Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, specifically Jason Tatum, late in the fourth quarter was amazing and was key for them winning. And you saw a lot, especially when they started making their adjustments after the first 2 games. because of the games they switched. It was the fourth quarter belonged to the Warriors when it was the third quarter, and then vice versa. Boston would make their run in the third quarter, and then they would fall apart in basically the last 5 minutes, and that 100% was because of defense and a little bit of inexperience. But then just because, and also the fact that Wiggins can make his own shot, he could create his own shot. He would always go down low into the post, kind of back it out a little bit, back down in the post, and that's how he's getting his shots. It felt like he was basically beating Jason Tatum at his own game. Is what it felt like. It's like we're used to seeing that stuff out of Jason Tatum, and you saw that from him in the first round series against the Nets, and then you saw it against Milwaukee, and Miami did a great job at kind of getting him off his rhythm a little bit, because it's in the championship series where he kind of starts to have these on and off nights. Some games are good, some games are not, and it was the same way going into the finals. And you could say, oh, maybe it's an experience, maybe the moment was just a little bit too big for him where he's at now, but now he's got that experience, maybe he gets back in that situation. But I'm also going to give Andrew Wiggins his flowers and credit where credit is due for great defense and basically beating Tatum at his own game, which is the mid-range game. And then of course Wiggins turned it into a super reliable spot up 3-point shooter. He's basically what everyone thought Iguodala was when he won the Finals MVP back in 2015.
LeBron definitely should have still won that. I am a known LeBron hater. Like I am, right? But like LeBron James should have won 2015 Finals MVP, and that should not even be a debate. You just don't give it to Iguodala. You just don't do that.
Well, it's not just that. It's like the crazy thing is like the whole narrative around it was like, oh, he was clamping LeBron. LeBron still averaged like 32, 33 that series. It's like if LeBron's dropping 30 something points a game on you in the finals, and he has literally no help, and he still like stole like a game or two from them. I can't remember the series. If that's clamping up LeBron, God help it. God help any team if LeBron is unclamped. If there's literally no one to guard him, he would have broken every single finals record that there was, and he still may. Who knows? His career ain't over yet. That man's never gonna retire.
And my last thing on Wiggins, and I tweeted this I think during the NBA Finals. I was like, guys, Andrew Wiggins was never a bad player. Like he was never bad. He was Garrett.
We got Garrett. What's up,
gentlemen? Sorry for joining late, but I'm glad I can make it on the first episode.
You're fine. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Garrett Burrows here on the first episode of Court is in Session. We got another one in the courtroom with us. But anyway, Chick, go ahead and finish your thought.
No, it's just Andrew Wiggins was never a bad player. He was never a first overall pick kind of player, but he was never bad. He was just like, he just never lived up to the expectations of being a number one pick, which is fine. Like that happens. Like, it's, if you do a redraft, like, yeah, of course you change it, but Wiggins was never that bad. Like people act like he was a bust. It's like, he wasn't a bust. He just didn't live up to the expectations of being the number one player. He can still play ball, and he's pretty damn good at it.
So, Garrett, we kind of rolled off from our quick season recap into kind of talking about a little bit more focused on the playoffs, and the playoff talk kind of moved into like a subcategory, specifically talking about Wiggins. I threw out the statement that I don't think the Warriors win the title without Andrew Wiggins. We could talk about the regular season. We even joked about, the K-pop fans are the reason why he was a starter in the All-Star game. And you can even take in the rest of the playoffs into considerations, but specifically for the finals, not just getting there, but winning the finals, it doesn't happen without Andrew Wiggins. Your response?
That's valid. I mean, he was a valuable contributor throughout the year, but I think his two-way presence in the finals was not necessarily on the radar for Boston, and it couldn't have been. The production that he was putting up on offense was a little bit greater than what he was doing throughout the regular season, but his ability to be able to defend multiple positions at one time was really key for this Warriors team. If they ever got in foul trouble or they needed to give guys like Clay and Poole and Curry a rest, they could trust Wiggins to go guard these guys no problem. And I think that was an integral cog into this Warriors machine that won the finals this year.
All right. So now we're going to move. We're going to go ahead. We kind of talked about quick season recap, and we kind of did some stuff. It kind of all flowed together with the playoffs there and everything. So we'll go ahead and we'll go to our next segment. And this is something I haven't heard too much about, honestly, which I guess maybe I just haven't been on Twitter that much. I don't watch too much of the national media talk because I swear I like scroll through Twitter or I look on YouTube and be like, oh, what's this show talking about? And it's the same stuff all the time. So I'm just like, okay, of course they're talking about that, and just move on with it. But it definitely needs to be talked about now because Steph Curry has won his 4th title. He's got multiple regular season MVPs, and he finally has his finals MVP. So now comes the question. For many years, Magic Johnson has been considered the best point guard in the NBA. Well, Chick just ruined his
way to spoil it.
Yeah, spoiled it there. So Garrett, I'll throw this to you. Steph or Magic?
Alex has been on my case about this for a little while now because I've been of the belief for at least the last year or so, maybe a little bit longer, that I do think that Steph is the best point guard of all time. But I was of the opinion before the season even started, and Alex can confirm this, that even before this year's finals berth and the 4th ring and his first finals MVP, I genuinely had Steph at number 1 because of the way he has transcended basketball on a global standpoint. You could take even that stuff aside. The way that he plays on the court, he is definitely one of these players that just undoubtedly makes his team better, 100%. He's a great passer. His defense has gotten better since he joined the league. That is something that we can't deny. Is he a lockdown defender? No, he's not. He's not going to be someone who's going to be your stopper, but he has gotten better on defense, and the tape shows it. And the ability to just go up and he could drop 60 any given night, no matter what. I think that, if you compound all this in today's era, I think that the accolades are great, but the way that he has changed basketball basically forever. Because if you don't have a guy like Steph, you don't get guys like Trae Young and players like that. And this generation is just going to keep producing more players who just primarily focus on the three-point shot as well.
Well, Trae Young's not a good argument on that one because, I wouldn't.
I'm not saying Trae Young is good necessarily. But what I'm saying is you have these guys. No. What I'm saying is you have these guys who can come in and just primarily work on their jump shot and who can fill up the basket and things like that. And I think that if you take a guy like Magic out of the league versus you take a guy like Steph out of the league, whose impact is felt more? And I think Steph's impact is greater than Magic's is.
Okay. So, all right. Okay. Let's do this. Okay. Now, Garrett, me and you are both kind of stats guys, correct? Okay. Now, you obviously alluded to Steph Curry being a better scorer, right? I don't think that's any shock to anybody, right? Guy's the best shooter, and I said it earlier, Jackson, he's the greatest shooter of all time, correct? Okay, and it's not even close. Okay, and yes, he has changed the game as far as moving, he's spread out floors and everything. You know what I mean? That's as a true point guard. Okay, true point guard. Magic can still scored 20 points a game. What do you think Curry's overall, total over his career? What do you think Curry's is?
What, points per game?
Yeah.
If I had to guess, it's probably maybe 24.5.
Wow.
Did he get it exact?
But 24.3, that's impressive.
Wow.
That's impressive. But Magic's is 19.5, okay? So we're talking about a 5-point difference. And you could talk about the 5-point difference becoming that Curry and really the NBA itself has become more of a scoring league. There's less defense, less physical defense, for lack of a better term, less physical defense playing in the NBA. But it's also acute to, Curry being able to shoot really well and be able to space the floor, right? And Magic in the less scoring league was scoring about 20 points a game, 19.5, okay? That's one thing. We talked about the passing. I think Magic's a way better passer than Steph. I think. Magic was able to make Magic was Michael Jordan before Michael Jordan. It was Magic's league. It was Magic's league. Magic was in talks for being the best player of all time. That is fact. You can look up old documentaries when they talk about Magic Johnson. Magic Johnson was the Michael Jordan of that league. And then Michael Jordan came and
I think they even mentioned that in the Last Dance.
I think they did. Yeah.
I think some people did. They talked about how
It,
basically he was the GOAT right up until '91, and then the Bulls go on their run, and they're like, no, it's this MJ guy.
this is MJ guy's all right, right? I mean, but let's talk about passing assists per game, okay? And in a less scoring league, Magic had 11 assists. He was a walking double double. He put 20 points up, and in a less scoring league with 11 assists per game, check my math on this. He's putting up 32 points a game for his team by assist and points. Okay, no, I'm sorry, that's rebounds. It's rebounds. He's putting up 11 rebounds. That's my bad. I should have wrote that down. But he's putting up 19 and a half points. He's getting 11 rebounds. Of course, he's taller than Steph Curry. He's not going to get as many rebounds. But Magic's also getting 7 assists. Curry, and his stats are great too. He's got 24 and a half, very close to what you said, or 24.3. He's putting up 6.5 rebounds for a small guy. That's not bad at all. That's really not. And he's getting 4.6 assists per game, which, you know, we're living with that. Those are not bad numbers. To me, though, Magic is just an all-around better point guard. I feel like Steph Curry, his ability to shoot, and you did talk about it. He's transcending the game. He's made the game more spaced out. He's made players respect shooting so much, and I can respect that, and that's why, undoubtedly, it's undoubtedly 4 years before the Finals MVP. I'm talking about back when they won a title in like 2017, maybe even 2015. I was like, you know what, Steph Curry might be the second best point guard of all time. And that's nothing to be ashamed about. That's why the LeBron and MJ debate, it kind of played out. Those guys are top 2. It's not even a debate no more. Those guys are top 2. You can't really argue them being top 2. But for me, Magic's always going to be on top. He's just a way better. I think he's just when I think of a point guard, I think of Magic. When I think of best shooter of all time that plays point guard, I'm thinking of Curry. Like, I think Curry is probably the best scoring point guard of all time that makes really flashy passes, really helps his team out and stuff. But Magic, when I think of point guard, that was the floor general. He commanded the offense right there. He's still putting up 20 points a game. He's still passing it out here. He's still getting rebounds. For me, and when I think of Magic, and this is where LeBron comparisons come, I get LeBron comparisons with Magic. I think they play a little bit similar. Maybe not the best shooter, can get to the rack, score, very good passers, very high IQ. And like the Magic and Steph debate from now on, and you know what? Steph is having a case because, you know what, he's not done. He's what, 32, 33?
Yeah.
So like Magic, of course, he got HIV, right? So his career, he did play one time after he got HIV. He played one more season, but it was so his career is done. Steph Curry has that longevity to where he can still get a Finals MVP. Like, for me, Magic's got 3 MVPs. He's got 3 Finals MVPs. He's got 5 NBA championships. You know, Steph has 4 now. He has 4 NBA championships, 1 Finals MVP, 1 or 2 MVPs.
2.
He went back to back,
and he was the first ever unanimous MVP.
So he's got 2. Okay, so yeah. So I mean, like, it's eerily similar, and that's why we can have this conversation. And I think, you know, a little bit different than, you know, Michael Jordan, LeBron. Michael Jordan, you know, resonates with people that even our age, Garrett. Like we still think Michael Jordan's the best, right? Which is that, but like the Magic and Steph thing. Steph is so, you do make a great point. He's changed the game of basketball, and he's so well known now. Like he's up there with being the most recognizable people with MJ, with Kobe, with LeBron, just because how he's changed the game. Magic does not have that with him. He doesn't. But for me, as far as looking at pure basketball, fundamental basketball, and the point guard overall, I got Magic. I have to have Magic. But Steph Curry is still, like, especially with this Warriors team that's not even fully healthy yet. They can still go again next year, go win another title. Steph wins another Finals MVP. I don't think it's. Then I'm like, fuck, Garrett might be he might be on he might be on there. But right now, as of right now, I don't think Steph has enough. The hardware. I don't think he has the Finals MVP is killing him. He's got 1, and that's awesome, and that helps his case tremendously. But I think 2015 really killed that. 2015 and 2022, it's not even a debate. Even 2015, 2017, 2018, they win the chips in 2017, 2018, 2022. He wins the Finals MVP. It's not a debate. But just watching how in 2015, 7 years ago, but I have to include it. But that's just my thoughts on it. It's super close, and it can go either way. And so that's what's great.
Yeah,
It can go either way.
I agree with you, Chick. I lean a little towards the Magic side, but Steph, I mean, holy crap,
He's not
this,
done.
this is like the closest that you could be like in second place without overtaking first place. That's where Steph is at. It's almost like 1A and 1B at this point, with 1A being Magic and 1B being Steph.
Garrett flipped it. He said 1A is Steph. And
I
1B
did.
I was like, flip that. No, I'm gonna flip that. But no,
Yeah.
like.
Well,
And actually, I thought we lost Jackson.
no, you're
Well,
good. I just cleared my throat. Gosh.
Well, and I will say Garrett was actually a little bit like he said 1 or 2 years. Garrett's been saying Steph is the best point guard of all time for a while now. Like he's been saying, I would say about 3 or 4 years. I think after 2018 is actually when he said that. Like I think that's when he started that narrative.
I've been on for a while.
And I called him crazy. And every year it's getting a little bit less crazier because he's getting that hardware. He's building his resume.
I will say, I think this, and it's weird to say that this championship exposed a weakness. I'm not like going like that crazy talk here, but I think what this title run showed me, and obviously being a Grizz fan and just an NBA fan, I really up close got to study and see the Warriors these playoffs. But Steph's shot was leaving a lot more to be desired than it was in years past. And it's disappeared from him in years past. But it really disappeared from him quite a few times in these playoffs, especially in key late game situations. But of course, because the Warriors are just a well-constructed team and they draft players really well, and they traded for Wiggins, and Wiggins, we've already talked about, was super key for this title run, is that covered the Warriors this season. And I'm not going to take away from Steph, because when push came to shove, he played fantastic in the finals, and he deserves the credit, 100% the credit for that.
If I'm going to be fair, I have to point at the counterpoint to that is that Magic played with Kareem, who was top 3 player of all time.
Yes, I know that. That was not a negative in any way in Steph. What I'm saying, I was going along with your point, Chick, that when you're looking at from, like, let's say you've got a lineup of some of the NBA greats, and Steph and Magic are the 2 point guards that are there for you to choose from.
Not a debate.
I lean towards Magic just from the sole purpose of it's weird because like their types of games and the way that they are point guards are different than each other, but I trust Magic a bit more in the sense that his shots are going to be coming maximum 15 feet from the basket, whereas Curry, yes, he can get to the lane and he hits mid-range shots, but the shot that he is looking to get is 30 plus feet away. And when it's hot, it's the deadliest game in the league. It's disgusting. The man will pop off for 10 threes, and he'll drop 40 on your head, and you'll see that you still got halfway through the third and the entire fourth quarter to play, and you're down by 20 plus. Okay?
Yeah.
There's just nights where you can't stop that. But then there's other nights where he goes 0 for 10, 0 for 11. Now, he still scores, and he's still a threat, so you have to respect him. But someone like Magic, he's going to be able to... it's going to be able to give you a bit more consistency in a sense that, he's playing through the offense and everything, but like Chick said, he's grabbing boards, he's running the break, he knows the type of person to get to, and just Magic's passing is on another tier. Like, Steph's not a pushover when it comes to passing, but what Magic was doing with the basketball was, there's a reason why his nickname was Magic. It was like magic what he was doing with the basketball. What'd you say?
Was his name Earl or Irvin?
It was Irving. Irving Johnson.
Irving.
Yeah, Irving Magic Johnson. Earl. Earl. Yikes. But I lean more towards Magic, but I 100% agree with Chick. This Warriors team, they're pretty much going to run it back probably. I know Wiggins said he is wanting to stay, which, if I just won a title with a team and I was an intricate part of that team, I'd want to stay too. Like, if I'm playing for this team and then in the same season I win a title and I'm an all-star starter, then yeah, I want to come back to that team. So
they're doing right by him. So,
yeah, and
they're
listen,
doing
ownership
right
for like almost 10 years now has been like paying $300 million in luxury tax, and they're just like, we don't care, keep throwing it out. out there like we're at the club.
If you're winning titles, it doesn't
exactly
the Rams.
Exactly.
Rams traded all their draft picks and they won a title out of it.
So it's like they're paying $300 million like every year in luxury tax, but they just built a brand new like $1.5 billion stadium and they're putting butts in the seats, and it's like the cheap seats, the nosebleeds, and the finals are selling for like $600 and they're completely sold out. So they're raking it in, and they're also in the Bay Area, which is a massive market, and because of their winning, they are an international team, much like what the Bulls were. So you're getting in revenue from all across the world. So I'm sure that is why they're continuing. It's a $300 million investment every single season that pays for itself tenfold, because that franchise, from when they started winning in 2015 to now, what is it? They increased by like $3 billion in worth of the franchise. That's insane.
Like I think like the Warriors were bought. The Warriors were bought like in 2010. It was like 450 million, and they're like worth like $5 billion or something like that, or $4 billion. It's fucking ridiculous. I was like, holy shit!
It is crazy. All right, so now I mentioned it a little bit earlier. We've got the draft coming up in just a few days. We are recording this on a Monday, and Thursday is the draft. That's how close this is. This will definitely 100% should be coming out, at least on YouTube before then. But I just wanted to real quickly ask you guys, because again, since it's so close, it just feels proper to ask this. Give me one player that you are looking at for your individual teams. So I'm a Grizz fan, Garrett is a Nuggets fan, and Chick is a Spurs fan. What is one player that you would like your team to target? Which player would you guys want?
Well, man,
but you got 3 picks, Chick. So
Banchero's gonna drop to 9.
Yeah,
and the Spurs are gonna take him. That's what's gonna happen. He's gonna have like a the Tunsil. This resonates well with you, Jackson. The Tunsil guy.
Tunsil,
he's gonna have the gas man.
And he's the night before the draft, and he's gonna see him in a car with like a bunch of drugs.
Yeah,
and some guns in the trunk.
Enough
to get him like some RICO charges or something,
Oh, not RICO, no. No. In all honesty, and I took this guy and the Vendetta mock that we did. If you haven't watched that, it's on our YouTube. It was really fun. Jalen Duren. Like I said, the Spurs haven't really taken a big guy, drafted really high on a big guy for years. The last time probably was Tim Duncan, which was like number 1 overall. So we're number 9 right now. I think a big body would do nicely as far as even depth. I think his mechanics can be worked with. The Spurs have what's his name, like Chip England, I think, or Chip. He's a really good shooting coach. I think that can help him more towards modern basketball. I also I hate this name because I can't say it, but Osame Dieng, whatever, right?
Yeah,
I think he would be the stretch forward the Spurs are looking for, as far as being able to score, be a ball handler, run the pick and roll as a 4, be really good on the defensive side as well. Like the stretch 4, I think the Spurs have been missing. Like they had Davis Bertans, they've had some Luka. It was a different Luka. It wasn't Luka. It was Luka something. And he's in the G League now. I think he's almost out of the league. So I think a guy that's like a stretch 4, I wouldn't mind him at 9. I'm kind of out on guards. And technically Dieng's a wing, but since he's a 6'10" wing, I think it's fine because he'll play at the 4. But I'm really kind of out on the 1s and 2s and 3s. I think the Spurs have enough of them. We traded Derek White, and even though he just was in the finals, the Spurs still have, Keldon Johnson, who's kind of taking that place. We're still kind of waiting on Lonnie Walker. Devin Vassell's okay, but I think a stretch 4 would really do the Spurs some good. Not that they're going to be contending in the playoffs, but to build on a foundational roster, I think Dieng will be good.
What say you, Garrett? Who are you wanting to add beside the 2-time MVP and returning stars of Murray and Porter?
They're going to trade all their picks for Bradley Beal.
That's true. No, remember, which by the way, we have to talk about this real quick. remember,
Had to get
Bradley
brought up.
Beal only wants to go to Boston. So Boston is going to offer Al Horford and Naismith, which, I mean, how can you go wrong with a guy that shares the same last name as the man that invented the sport?
The context on this is that Trey, a Celtics fan only when they're winning, and shits on the NBA whenever the Celtics are not winning. Okay, because he started shitting on the NBA as soon as the Celtics lost the finals, but was like, well, you know what? I want Bradley Beal. Bradley Beal likes Jason Tatum, and they're besties, and therefore the Celtics don't have to trade anyone that they like to get him. And if you know Trey, he hates Al Horford, doesn't care about Aaron Nesmith, and so he's like, we'll just trade these two guys and get Bradley Beal in return. Like, and what sense does that fucking make? Like, what? He's like,
He didn't even include
Anthony
picks.
Davis,
He didn't even include picks.
no, he's like, Anthony Davis
Straight
wants
up.
to go to the Lakers. He'll get to the Lakers
Who
somehow,
says no?
some way. It's like it doesn't work that way. It's like if you're gonna have to give up some people that you like. You're not keep. He shits on. Am I wrong? He shits on Al Horford the whole time, and Al Horford's the only reason why they won a lot of their playoff series, and he's not ready for that conversation. But and then he's like, well, now he's like trying to play into it, like,
And he's like, oh, sell him high. Sell him high.
Yeah, he's like, we like Al Horford now, sell him high, and then he's like, shut the fuck up. You can't get Bradley Beal by trading Al Horford without any picks. If you included some picks, maybe, but they don't even have a first round this year because they gave it to the Spurs. So no, you can't. That trade was so awful. The first thing I said was, what the fuck is this? Like, what are we doing? What is, like, Trey's a hockey guy though. Like, he keeps, he wants to shit on the NBA. That's fine, but don't try to pretend like you're an NBA guy and then just come in here with that bullshit. It just doesn't work that way.
The St. Louis connection, though, it's there. They're St. Louis guys. Tatum was at his camp one time.
It's like, he reminds me of this It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, and the guy with the board with the conspiracy, and the Bradley Beal's at the center of it, right? And then he's like, oh, this is connecting to this, and this is how Bradley Beal's going to get to the Celtics is because of this, and this, and this, and this, right? Like, it's just, like, no, it doesn't make any sense. I'm sorry, no.
Okay, so sorry for that tangent, everyone, but it needed to be brought up.
It
needed to be brought up. But anyway, Garrett, who are you looking at in the draft that you'd like for Denver to go after?
There's one way that I want Denver to go, and then there's one way that I sort of expect them to go. The way I want them to go is and I have one player in mind for a potential trade up because they own picks 21 and 30, if I'm not mistaken. It's an early 20s pick, and they own the 30th pick. And I'm going to butcher his name. The Kansas guard who just won Most Outstanding Player.
Oh, I know who you're talking about. I can't think of his name.
Jai Abaji.
Yep. Yeah. Oh, hey.
That guy.
Hey. Yeah.
That guy.
You're asking the wrong people, Gary.
I know. This is a group that does not do well with names, so this is not the group to ask. But I think from what I've been reading, I read, Carl Heiser's mock draft. If you haven't seen that, go ahead and check that out on the Vendettas website. It's a really good read. He's one of our great college basketball guys, along with Alex Cervantes. He is a defensive stopper. He just won national championship with Kansas, most outstanding player, like I mentioned, 6'10" wingspan, 3-and-D kind of player. And I think that's what Denver needs, is a guy who they can lean on to say, guard this guy, he's on fire, so they don't get torched for 40 points from this guy. I think that's pivotal in this offseason, that Denver try to find somebody who is a perfect 3-and-D kind of player. Now, if the Kansas guard, we're just going to go with Kansas guard here, I'm not even going to try it. If this Kansas guard is somewhere around the tail end of the lottery, maybe like the top 17, 18 picks or so, I would love if Denver made a move up in the draft to get a guy like this. Otherwise, I think it'd be a fun storyline if they drafted Nikola Jovic.
Yeah,
I think that's hilarious to me.
That's it right there.
Admittingly, I don't know a whole lot about college basketball. We did the site mock draft, and I was kind of listening out for what some people are saying, but I did a little research into it today while I was on lunch and stuff like that from work, and I think a guy like Abaji is like almost a perfect fit for this Nuggets roster if they want to pull the trigger and realize that they're in like a championship window almost. I don't want to use the word championship window because they haven't won a championship, they haven't made a finals. However, they are 2 years removed from a Bubbles conference finals appearance, and when healthy, this is a really good roster.
They're competing. They're a competitor for the title, not just out west, but for the title. Yes,
they are competitive.
100% are.
I think a guy like him could take this team over the hump with how good he is on defense. They don't go that route.
I think the Nuggets need to rely on Will Barton more.
I'm not doing this.
That man does not need to be on that roster next season.
He's like, if he's still there on the tail end, trade Will Barton for him. He's Will Barton.
Who says no for Will Barton? Will Barton and the 20-something.
Trey's Al Horford, and then Garrett's like Will Barton. Like he's like, yeah, I hate Will Barton. Let's use him as a valuable asset.
Trade high.
Sell high on him.
Sell him high.
Will Barton in 21. Did you move up to like 15? Who says no?
Yeah,
I'm there.
Which I mean, hey, the Bulls are shopping 18 and Kobe White, which is actually kind of something I've thought about Memphis potentially doing to recoup the backup point guard position if Tyus Jones moves away, if he decides to go somewhere else.
I don't like that decision by Chicago because Kobe White played well at the end of the year, and he is a solid backup point guard. I mean, he's
not bad.
No, he's not bad at all. Now at the start of the year, I could understand where you may want to like ship off him because he wasn't really proven worth what his pick was. But towards the end of the year, them scoring numbers started to get inflated. He started to pass better. Defense came along. He's a solid backup point guard for sure.
Which I mean, I felt like he just kind of got pushed to the wayside last season with all the new additions that came in, which was the thing. When you watch him in his rookie season, he played fairly well. It's so weird. I remember it was the home opener after Memphis had drafted Ja. The first game that they played, that I got to see them play, it was like the second game of the season, was against the Bulls. Kobe White outplayed Ja Morant in Ja Morant's second game in the league. Kobe White dropped like 30-something. It was insane. I'm like, I did not think Kobe White was this guy. Holy cow. And obviously that's his rookie season. That's the second game in the league. So, that could be an outlier. But just like his entire rookie season, I thought he played really well. I just think, again, yes, I don't think he's a starting point guard. He's a backup point guard. And just with all the additions that the Bulls had this past season, I think he just kind of got pushed back a little bit. And with the rise of someone like DeSumo, I think that's where he kind of lost his spot in the rotation, and that's why they're willing to move off of him, because they have a much cheaper option, because DeSumo is only getting paid, I think his contract is it's like not even $1 million. I think it's not even $1 million. I think he's like a two-way contract guy, if I remember correctly, whereas with someone like Kobe White, you're having to pay him a couple million because he was a first-round pick.
Well, they're paying Alex Caruso $9 million a year.
That's
so
true.
They should just trade that guy. Yeah, averages.
No,
6,
he's the defensive and energy guy that they need to win a title.
The issue is Kobe White just turned 22 in February. Like why are we selling this kid so early? Exactly. Don't give up on this kid.
Trade Alex Caruso.
What's going to happen?
Sell higher on him.
Chicago's going to trade Kobe White to somebody, maybe even like a contender, and he's going to prove to be a pivotal piece to a championship willing team.
And what's crazy to me is so I'll go ahead and move on to my Grizzlies real quick and kind of talk about the draft and what I want to see from them and everything and potential outcomes that they could have. But this Grizzlies front office, they're always super aggressive and they're always willing to make trades in the draft. They've done it every single year. The last year they traded into 30 from 2 second-round picks into the 30th pick and got Santi Aldama, who I'm still pretty high on. He's a project, 100% for sure, but it's hard to pass up a dude with his potential talent there, especially with how deep that roster is. But then the year before that, they did the exact same thing and they got Desmond Bane, and then they trade in the middle of the draft and they get Brandon Clark the year before that. So, it's incredible how aggressive this front office is, and I'm obviously appreciative of it. But the Kobe White thing, it's like even Bulls writers are talking about, this potential trade with Memphis, this could be pretty good. It has them trading away 18 and Kobe White for someone and literally this is the trade, DeAnthony Melton and pick 22. That's the trade. And these are Bulls writers, people that it is their job to
How
cover
are
the
you
Chicago Bulls.
winning on both fronts?
That's what I'm
crazy.
thinking, and it's like if that's the thinking of this front office, first off, Memphis, take advantage of that, and secondly, like, what is this front office doing? I don't understand it. Like, why would you do that? Why would you move back? And I get it, it's only a couple spots back, and DeAnthony Melton is cheaper than Kobe White, but Melt is a little bit older than Kobe White. And I feel like Kobe White's ceiling is higher than what DeAnthony Melton's is, even though I really sold DeAnthony Melton to Barrett.
I think Kobe White's better than
I love Melt. I honestly do. But
I think he's better. I think Kobe White's better than him.
But
like,
it's specific.
I think
like that would be a specific trade that if that were to happen, then in my mind, I'm like, Tyus is gone. This front office has no confidence that Tyus is coming back, or they have intel from other teams that are going to come in and offer Tyus a massive deal that Memphis doesn't want to pay for. So that is a trade that they can make to go get their point guard, and then they can use that pick to go out and get a wing. And a wing that like I like in the draft that they could possibly get is excuse me, Tory Eason out of LSU. I really think he fits well with the mold. In fact, it's who I took at in the site.
You did.
I took him. I'm really high on him. I just think because it's like, was that probably a little bit high where I picked him? Yeah, probably. But it's the talent's there, but I think the fit is just as important, which is like something how like last year with the exact same pick at 10, which is what I traded up for Memphis to get to that point. They took someone like Zaire Williams, who's probably not like top 10 talent worthy, at least initially at the time, but his fit with Memphis has been absolutely amazing. He was just a rookie this season, and he's playing valuable minutes in the playoffs guarding Steph Curry, and he's holding his own, and he's a rookie. Give him a full healthy season, let him make that next leap, and then he could potentially be worth it. And that's the great thing about the position that Memphis is in right now, is that they can take shots on these projects, and if they don't pay off, it's fine. You've got a great team that's going to go out there and compete. You got other avenues to acquire talent. But if they pay off, then you're just that much deeper and you're just that much more set to try and compete. Now, and again, everything just depends on like what happens. There's like multiple different avenues that Memphis could go for. I've got Carl's mock up here, and I do like Memphis at 29 going after someone like Blake Wesley out of Notre Dame, because they do need, in let's say they do lose Tyus and they don't make that trade, they stay put, they just can't find a trade that they like to move up, and if some guy like this is available, you need your backup tried and true point guard, because DeAnthony Melton, he's a two guard. He's a natural two guard. He can handle the ball some, but he would just be passable at best and horrible backup point guard at worst. So keep him as an off-ball guard. He's fine as an off-ball guard, but go and get someone like Wesley to be your main backup PGA.
I think Kennedy Chandler would be really good at that.
Kenny Chandler was another guy that I was going to bring up. I just think he goes a little bit too early. Before,
yeah, he goes to the Spurs at 25.
Yeah, totally, 100%.
The way I drafted it.
I mean, they could get him at 22, but here's my thing with 22 is like I would love for someone. When you're
22.
What?
No one likes you when you're 22.
And that's true. I don't know about you, but but I mean, there's quite a few guys that could be there available at 22. Like Beauchamp, I think would be really great as a two guard off the bench coming in to score. Now, here's the big thing, though, that has been interesting to me today is that Sacramento has been talking about trading out of the number 4 spot, and Memphis's name.
What the fuck they're
doing. Memphis's name has been talked about as like Memphis is aggressively pursuing the 4th overall pick, and the rumors are that the two people that they would be going after was I had the names up here. Yeah. Keegan Murray or Jaden Ivey. Those are like the two names, which would be insane. Yeah. If Memphis, with the roster that they had, keeping the core together, you trade up to 4, which bye Dylan Brooks if that's the case. If I can go get one of those two guys.
That's your guy. That's your guy, Jackson. that is your favorite player. Man,
he loves Dylan Brooks.
I will say this though. I've had my ups and downs with Dylan Brooks, but I would not
that's one way to put it.
I would not wish being traded to Sacramento on my worst enemy. to play basketball. Okay, so
Sacramento will sign me. I tell them to sign me in 10 days. I can get them 6 points. I promise you, I can get 6 points.
Here we go.
Jackson, I had this thing where I think I could get 6 points in the NBA. Like I think like Kyle Lowry gets 6. 20 minutes. Play me for 20 minutes. I'll get 6 points, without a doubt.
No. If Alex gets 20 minutes, he's gonna put up.
I can put Caruso numbers.
No, he's gonna.
I can put Caruso numbers.
That cardio stat line, just a bunch of zeros
No,
all on the board.
No, I'll get one.
Hey, listen, if I'd put up cardio numbers and I'd be a meme on the internet if I was getting paid as much as Tony Snell is getting paid.
Bro, I would put up Caruso numbers and I would be like, I'm better than him. Pay me $10 million a year. I would that would be my post conference. I wouldn't even get interviewed, but I would just hijack someone else's.
But I can't wait for the draft. It's going to be a lot of fun. I know Chick's got to be excited because his team has 3 picks. And it seems they finally have kind of embraced this. Okay, we kind of need to go for a rebuild, but we also have some pretty good players like DeJounte Murray, Jakob Poeltl, and of course
I like Josh Richardson too. I like Jay Rich. So
is he an unrestricted free agent or does he have an option?
I think he's still under contract for 1 more year.
Okay.
If I remember correctly.
Okay. Are you still in on Lonnie Walker as well?
Skywalker.
Depends on what the other options are. That's like I like Lonnie. I think, but Lonnie's known as a scorer. But like if he's not really scoring at a consistent rate, it's kind of hard to be in on the guy. You know what I mean? However, if there's not any other options, I think he's a really good backup too. He could be a backup, but I don't know. I think when he's still young, I think he's like 21. Or 22. He's still relatively young, so he still has time to figure it out.
All right.
What can we make a pack real quick? Can us three? We're gonna watch college basketball next year, correct?
Yes.
We are making
because my college team is going to be competitive next year, so obviously it's the only time I'm going to watch.
The Hogs. My cousin might go to Arkansas.
What?
My cousin might go to Arkansas. Hey, no kidding.
We'll pick
he actually isn't joking. He's actually like really high on going to University of Arkansas.
I've heard nothing but good things. I did almost go there for my grad school. I was that close, but I decided to stay a little bit closer to home.
So we have made a pact. We are all going to watch college basketball.
Baby. This episode is running really long, which I think it's because we have 2 guests and it's the first episode, so it just means it's more for you guys to enjoy.
We'll have the shorts. We'll have the
shorts, and it'll be good. But let's quickly go through just give me some 2022-2023 predictions, and then we have a special final segment that I think is going to be a bit more centric to the show's name. So all right, guys. So 2023 predictions. Give me champions. Give me MVPs. If you want to do rookie of the year out of all the rookies on here, go ahead and do it. Give me a quick explanation of why you think so.
Yeah.
Awesome. Great. Let's see. I'll start with an MVP prediction. And I think that we are going to have another international MVP this year, and I think it's going to be Luka Doncic. I think Luka wins MVP. I don't think that's necessarily too hot of a take either. I think that there's going to be writers' fatigue about Jokic winning a third MVP, and I'm not sitting here saying he should or he will or anything like that. I genuinely think that Luka has the platform now. He's building the team around him, and he's really stepping into his own. I think that if everything goes according to plan next year for Dallas, they could be a top 4 or 5 team in the West potentially. And if Luka's averaging like 4th or 5th, I don't think that's too out of the question.
No.
If Dallas ends up like 3 or higher in the top 3 seedings, I think it has to be Luka. I think Luka averages 38 and like 7 a game. I think that MVP's his.
No, I definitely agree with you on that. And me and Jackson did before he came in. We talked about how Jokic well deserved one back to back. Like I don't like. I think the only Philly fans were really like vying for Embiid. I think everyone else is like, no, it's Jokic. Like it's Jokic. No, I agree with you. I think the MVP is Luka. I think actually. Last year, I thought Luka was going to win MVP, and I think that just tells you that it's almost inevitable that Luka is going to win one sooner or later. He's going to win one. right? And it could be this year. So I'm with you, Garrett. I think I'm going to go with Luka again. I might go with Luka every year until he wins it.
Just to say you were right when he got it.
I'm gonna be right. I'm gonna be right.
One of these days.
Years, one of these years. But I think that's going to be true. I think it's going to be Luka.
Who do you have in the finals? Well, let's run through finals really quick, and then we'll
I got 3 contenders in the West, and I got 3 contenders in the East. I got in the West. I think Golden State and the Clippers can all go to the finals. I don't think it's really anybody else. And then in the East, I like the Bucks the most, so I'm going to go with the Bucks in the finals. If Kyrie stays, I like the Nets. I still like the Nets. I think that was a bizarre situation. But I think they have hoopers on that team, and I think Boston getting valuable experience in the finals. I think Jason Tatum going through adversity, ups and downs. Jaylen Brown going through adversity. I think that losing in the final hurts, but it's how you recover from it. So I think that was very valuable experience. I think they can make another run back to the finals. I like the Bucks the most in the East. I'm gonna go with the Clippers because I like Kawhi. I know. I'm sorry, Garrett. I'm sorry. I like Kawhi.
You just love Kawhi Leonard so much.
I do like Kawhi. Man, I think Kawhi.
That's his boy.
Paul George.
That's Spurs.
I think
Spurs connection.
Even if he did us dirty, I'm saying I'm sorry to Kawhi. That's how bad he did us dirty, and I'm saying I'm sorry to him. You know what I mean?
It's like a girlfriend cheated on you, and you're the one apologizing.
Right?
I'm sorry, I wasn't good enough.
That was exactly. I'm sorry. We should have been better. That's how I feel. But no, I think the Clippers in the finals. I think they have a well-rounded team. I think if Kyrie, the rumors that Kyrie might be going to the Clippers too. I think if he goes to the Clippers, it's set. I think Kawhi, Paul George, and Kyrie is just a nasty trio, and I think they go to the finals. Sorry, Garrett. I've been saying for years I like Denver. But I'm gonna go with the Clippers. Sorry.
Go ahead, Garrett.
So the Clippers to win it all, or just the Clippers to make it out of the West?
No, out of the West. I don't know from.
You got to pick a champion here. That's the whole fun.
I'm going with the Bucks because if the Bucks had Chris Middleton, Boston doesn't beat them. And if Boston could beat Miami, then the Bucks could have beat Miami with Chris Middleton. And I think the Bucks have the defensive prowess to combat the Warriors' offensive surge. And I think the Bucks really it goes to 7 at least, and I think the Bucks come out on top. So I definitely think the Bucks should have won if Chris Middleton was not out. So I'm gonna roll it back with it. I looked at the Bucks' free agents are not really they might be losing Bobby Portis, but other than that, there's not too many people that are losing. And if people recognize that Milwaukee is a contender, I think they're gonna get some of those vet minimum deals where a really good player signs for cheap just because they want to win. So I'm gonna go with Bucks over Clips.
Let's hear you, Garrett.
In the Western Conference, your conference finals is Golden State and Denver.
Okay.
It's hard to predict health in a team, but I'm working under the assumption that this team can stay healthy for 60 to 65 games this year. If I can get 60 games with the trio of Jamal Murray, Michael Porter Jr., and Nikola Jokic,
Aaron Gordon.
I'm not.
Listen, Aaron Gordon is a fantastic fourth option. When he was the fourth option for that little bit where the whole thing was in,
we're forgetting about Will Barton. Will Barton is
right.
the second option on this team.
All right. Anyway,
they also have Bones Highland now.
I'm really high on Bones Highland as well. I think that if this trio can get 60 games in the regular season together and kind of rest some of their players towards the end of the year, I think Denver genuinely has a shot to make a run at a conference finals berth this year. And then it's hard to pick against Golden State. I think that they're another team who also, if they get fully healthy, this team wasn't fully healthy this year.
That's what's crazy.
Yeah.
And they still took it to Boston, and look at how well they played. And I saw a stat earlier that the Warriors were never in an elimination game on the other side of it this entire postseason. They went 4-1, 4-2, 4-1, 4-2. That's nuts.
Yeah.
They were never in danger of being eliminated from the playoffs. I think that team gets fully healthy. I think that Denver and Golden State play one of the greatest 7-game series in NBA history. Golden State comes out on top. Veteran experience. That's fine. I'm living with that. In the East, I've got Milwaukee and I've got Miami. I'm leaning Miami a little bit, only because I think Miami knows that they're right on the cusp, and I think they go out and make some sort of move this year.
Who's the move? I'm shaking right now. I'm shaking. It depends on the move.
They've been linked to Kyrie, Donovan Mitchell. They even made like a guy like Damian Lillard or Bradley Beal. Like, you bring in one of those 4 guys. In a perfect world, I think the 2 best fits for this team is Damian Lillard and probably Donovan Mitchell.
I like Kyrie and Donovan Mitchell better. I think that's better.
I think if Dame makes his way to Portland, I want to go on the record to say I don't think Dame ever leaves Portland. Genuinely, I don't think the franchise ever trades him. I don't think he ever leaves him for agency. I think he just tries and works it out. And if he never wins a chip, he never wins a chip. I think that Miami makes the splash move. I think that they get better guard play out of guys like Tyler Hero, Duncan Robinson. Hopefully, they can get Kyle Lowry back in better shape. And you have a defensive guy like Bam at the 5. I know Alex hates Kyle Lowry, and I don't love Kyle Lowry, but I will defend Kyle Lowry.
Yes, you do.
I will defend him because he deserves it.
Kyle Lowry puts up 6 points in the playoff game. You're telling me I can't do that? I could do that. Shoot that. I can't do that.
It.
20 minutes. I'm telling you, 20 minutes. I will get 6 points.
Milwaukee and Miami play 6 games. Milwaukee wins. We have Golden State, Milwaukee in the finals, and I think I'm going to lean towards Milwaukee because I think that they make they know that they have holes in this roster and they got to address some stuff. I think that they make those moves this offseason. Healthy Chris Middleton is a game changer. And I think that, again, this is a 6 to 7 game series guarantee. I just think Milwaukee pulls it out.
Well, hold on, guys. Robert Williams is better than Chris Middleton. I was told that by also Trey Daubert. So, that's something that we need to – but my thing with Miami is – and I even wrote this down because I didn't know what we were going to talk about. I didn't know, so I wanted to have this note is – I love Jimmy Butler, but he is a really good number 2 option. He would be one of the best 2 options in the league. He's not that number 1. He's not. He's not a guy that's going to give you 30 or 40 when you ask him to. Like, he was
doing it this postseason though.
But then I felt like they should have won it. That's the thing. Like that, I think Miami was deeper than the Celtics, but I think it's just that. If they had that one option, Kyrie's a one option. Donovan Mitchell's that one option. Damian Lillard can be that one option. Who's the last name?
Beal.
Bradley Beal. He's still young. He's on Washington. What's Washington done? You know what I'm saying? Like, he can be that one option. It might take him some growing pains, but I think they need a 1-2 punch. And I don't think Butler really had that 2 punch. And I think he's the 2 punch. I don't think he's that first punch. You know what I mean? So for me, Miami has to get – and, Matt Hamilton might not like it, the Diamond. He might not like it. But, I think until they find a better star player than Jimmy Butler, I don't think this team is really going to go anywhere.
One last thing, and then I'm going to kick over to Jackson because I want to hear what he has to say about his predictions as well. I genuinely think if Jimmy Butler just uses a little more basketball IQ and doesn't take that shot – when we all know the shot we're talking about here, if he doesn't take that shot, Miami wins that series.
I could not believe the fucking defense to that shot. And people were like, "Oh, it's an in rhythm shot." If you're against that shot, you don't.
It?
And I was like, you have 15 seconds. Jared Prosser argued like he was in defense of this, and I was like, I don't agree. You got 15 seconds on the clock. There's 3 people in the paint. Okay, or no, there's no one in the paint actually. No, it was Al Horford, right? I believe it was Al Horford that was guarding him. So right here, Jimmy Butler's driving right there. He's about to pull up. Little hesitation move. All you have to do is do a little hesitation move. Al Horford comes up, take it to the rack. He stays put right there. You shoot the shot. Either way, you have 15 seconds. You're slowing down to get a better 3-point shot, not a momentum 3-point shot when you're going forward, which will throw you off. If you play basketball and you're running forward and you try to do when your momentum's going forward, it's not bad. And then if you hesitate, he comes up. You can beat him off the dribble, and you still tie up the game. I believe it's tied up or they go up by one. Either way, but that was way better than that. Sorry,
you're fine. Real quickly, this is interesting. Chet Holmgren has not provided his medical report to most teams and did not participate in the NBA's heart screening at the draft combine.
Interesting.
Also in my notes, Chet is boomer bust, and he's leaning towards bust to me, and I hate.
Well. Seems a little shady if you ask me. If you're not,
that is definitely another conversation for another time because I have thoughts on Chet as well. But
we can talk about that. We're gonna do a draft live stream, and we can start a few minutes early, and we can talk all the draft prospects throughout the night too, because that's when like some of the big stuff happens, especially like with me being a Grizz fan. Like I said, Desmond Bain a couple years ago when we did that stream, I was like, holy crap, that was amazing.
I love the live streams. The live streams are fun. They're amazing.
Especially when we get fans of teams and of like teams that have like decent picks.
And they're arguing in the comments.
Yes.
I hope we get some Atlanta fans in here.
Oh man, we got the last laugh this year. We tried to give them their flowers, and then their team just like took a big poo poo in this regular season.
What almost made me laugh was Garrett almost spit out his water. He's like, "Yeah, they took a big poo poo."
A big poo poo.
I have a 2-year-old. Okay, so sometimes I speak on a 2-year-old's level.
Oh, they took a big poo poo.
All right.
So good.
All right, so my thoughts real quickly, and then we'll get to our final segment. Again, this has been a fun episode. It's been a long episode, but it's been a super fun episode. For you listening, promise it'll be more condensed in the future.
It'll be shorter. You gotta have a good, strong show.
Exactly. We just gotta flex on them. It's like, we can talk. We can talk ball for a few hours. Right.
But, I mean, you gotta.
We gotta.
Yeah. No.
So the East is probably the easiest for me. I think the Bucks get out of there. Again, I agree. I think they would have made it this year had Chris Middleton not been injured. I think he's a lot more important to this team than what most people realize, and I think it showed. And then I think it showed that some of the shortcomings of other players on the team, like Drew Holiday, he can't be the 2 guy. Great as a 3rd guy when you're not really having to cover him as much. He got the Chris Middleton treatment, and he couldn't overcome the Chris Middleton treatment.
He's not a scorer.
No, he's not. He's a great defender, and he can get you a decent amount of points every night that'll help you win. That's what he is, and that's why they made that trade. I gave him crap for the trade, but then they won a title with him, so they got the last laugh on that one.
It was a bad value trade, though.
It was a bad value trade, but they still won a title, so it's like
you can't complain.
It's like you overpaid for something, but you still got what you wanted out of it, which was a championship. So it's hard to argue in hindsight. Although we all crapped on them when it happened.
I did.
Out West, this is tough. This is tough. This is very, very tough because like I do love the Nuggets as one of like the top contenders. This makes me almost feel like a bad fan of Memphis, but I think their ceiling is like a good conference finals run, and that's like if a lot of things go right for them and they take a big leap this offseason, specifically players like Jaren Jackson Jr., if Zaire takes a big leap, if they're able to hold on to Tyus, can they keep a veteran point guard who doesn't turn the ball over hardly at all, or do they have to bring in a rookie or someone else to kind of get into the system? So I'm not going to put them in that conversation just yet, although I would, you can't set yourself up for disappointment, if you don't have too high of expectations. So, maybe they get to the finals next year and I'm like, hey, way to go, guys. But, if not, then I was like, aha, see, I was right. They're not there just yet. Nuggets, Warriors, obviously. I do sort of agree with Garrett that I think it'll probably come down to Nuggets and Warriors next season. I guess my order would probably be Warriors, Nuggets, then Clips, just because the Clippers, even when healthy, like granted they got Norman Powell, so that's another offensive weapon that they'll have in their repertoire. But the last time they were all healthy together, which again it seems like forever ago, but it wasn't. It was the bubble. They blew a 3-1 lead in the playoffs to the Nuggets, and I would say the Nuggets have gotten significantly better since then with the additions of someone like Bones Highland, Michael Porter Jr. Playing a bit better, getting more experience. Jamal Murray, despite being injured, that's been like a season and a half that he hasn't had to have been using his body in a physical, like 82 game regular season, pushing 100 games. If you're going 5-game series, 6-game series, there's my co-host Union Pacific in the background. Shout out to him. But actually, no, not shout out to them. Where's my congressman? I need you to get on them, okay? They are blocking the tracks every single day, and it is a massive inconvenience. It is a 3-mile train. It is a 3 to 4 mile train that blocks the entirety of the town, and the only way to get across the tracks is to go on the highway, and it takes me 10 minutes to go around the city and come back on the other side.
This turns
just to go get
really fast.
I don't care. I don't care what party my representative is a part of. Just get on them.
Can we add the congressman to the like in the shorts? Jackson goes after his congressman.
Yes.
Like fix this problem. Fix this problem.
What's the timestamp? I'm gonna get the timestamp real quickly. I've got the timestamp. It is an hour
Excellent.
and 21.
That is a must-see short.
Yes.
Jackson attacks his congressman.
There we go.
That's all you have to put for YouTube.
That's all you have to put on the YouTube. It's perfect.
I might get put on a watch list if it's just attacks his congressman.
No.
Yeah,
That's fair.
He's a no.
Might get the video taken down.
What do you mean I can't buy this gun? What did I do?
Well, the police aren't going to do anything.
Sir,
anyway,
there's a red flag on your background check. We're gonna have to.
I'm glad you heard that. Garrett, I'm glad you heard what I said.
Yeah. I'm gonna go Bucks and Warriors in the finals, and I think the Bucks pull it out. That's gonna be my pick. So I think we're all in consensus.
Clippers. Hey, the West is going to be interesting to watch. We have our 3 picks. Way too early predictions, but we have our predictions.
But we're all in the Bucks though. The Bucks are going to be in the finals, and they're going to win it. This is assuming again that everyone is healthy. Okay, I feel like you can't hold someone accountable to a pick if like Giannis breaks his leg. And then they are in the lottery next season.
Barring injuries. Barring injuries.
Come on, man. You can't count that against someone. Okay, so now we get to a segment exclusive for this show. I'm getting the timestamp down for it. There we go. So now we start a brand new segment. This is called Taking the Stand. Now, Garrett, I explained this to Alex a little bit ago. And in fact, I will throw it to Alex to start with here. But so for the viewers and for you, Garrett, what this segment is going to be is that essentially every guest that I have on here from, one second. Where is it? Where did I put that thing? Yep, here it is. Okay. So I've got this massive Bible right here, and I promise you it is a Bible. There. It just also has Hebrew and Greek in it too, because I took Greek while I was in college. Just a small flex there. But what it is going to be is that there is a take that you have that I know that you have, whether it be, obviously we work at the same company and we talk all the time, NBA, people posting posts about stuff. So I know what you guys have. There's a take that I can say, okay.
Yeah, see?
But you are going to have to defend your take. So you're going to take the stand and you are going to defend whatever it is that I have for you. I'm going to say the opposite of some things. Like with Trey, I give this example to Garrett. If Trey was here, I would talk about all the positives about Russell Westbrook, about how players have had some of their best seasons with Russell Westbrook, how dudes have gotten paid because of Russell Westbrook. Okay, the triple doubles, the MVPs, how rare all that stuff is. He's the first one since the Big O, Oscar Robinson, all these things on his resume, and then be like, okay, defend your take.
Trey's gonna prepare so hard for this. He's gonna watch this. He's gonna have all his Russell Westbrook.
I've got notes. Look, I've got notes
the
today.
Receipts.
I prepared notes.
This burner account that has 3 followers on it. Okay, so Garrett or Alex, put your hand on the Bible. And let me put it up here because you're up here for me. I don't know where I'm at for you guys, but all right. So, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth about this topic? All right. So, Sir Chick, you are a known James Harden hater.
Yes, absolutely.
Right. So,
that is correct.
All right. James Harden in the past. Okay, so we got to get out of the way. He is an MVP. He is considered one of the best scorers in the history of the game.
Cap, Your Honor. Cap, Your Honor. Cap, Your Honor.
God.
Cap, Your Honor, that's Cap. No, just do like from the Johnny Depp Amber Heard case. That's hearsay. Hearsay, Your Honor.
Objection. Hearsay.
Hearsay. Yes. That was the word of the day, children. Was hearsay for that entire trial.
That trial.
Yes,
for sure.
But he's considered one of the top scorers in the NBA. Yeah, he's had some bad luck with trying to win a title. He hasn't won a title, but a lot of people have already considered, like, if he's on the tail end of his career right here, then he's one of the top 5 players to never win a title. His name being up there with the likes of someone like Charles Barkley, who also won one MVP, had been on multiple teams, did some ring chasing at the end of his career, but never won a title, and is still considered as one of the best players in the NBA, if not the best player in the NBA, to never win a title. He also had an emphasis on isolation ball, which has greatly changed the game. How many people you see also recreating that ISO ball. And also, while maybe not to the extent that Steph Curry had a change on the game, he also, in that point of his career, the same time that Steph was on the rise, James Harden also on the rise and is also doing a similar type of game of basketball. So, Chick, why do you hate James Harden?
James Harden takes 15 fucking dribbles, okay, and then shoots a step back through. Like, the people that like James Harden, like, just look at his stats. They don't actually play basketball. They don't actually watch basketball. It's like, how do you like someone that literally sits there?
Box score watchers, as we call them.
I love this reenactment.
That is his entire game. More often than not, 75% of the time, that is going to be the offense for that. If he gets the ball in his possession, like, James Harden is not like James Harden can score points, but you know why he can score points? It's because he shoots 20 free throws a game. Like, and that's not an exaggeration. There's a time in a season where
some would say that's part of the game. Some would say don't foul him.
If you're foul baiting, I could go into anybody. This is where I can score 6 points a game. You don't think I can go to the rack and get fouled 3 times and make 6 free throws? I can do that shit. This is why Harden fans like the true shooting percentage. They like true shooting percentage because it includes his free throw percentage. They don't talk about efficiency field goal percentage or his regular field goal percentage, which is very low because he takes shitty shots. Trey doesn't like Russell Westbrook because he's not efficient. James Harden's not efficient. The only reason why he puts points for his team is because he goes to the line. You can't say just don't foul him if he's trying to hook you to get a foul. Like, at the beginning of the season, James Harden was not good. You know why? And Jackson, we alluded to this, is that the referee, like, the reffing at the beginning of the year was very what the fans wanted. Stop foul baiting. Like, we want actual fouls. And then players complained, and then, it didn't end up like they ended up going their old ways. But that's when James Harden started playing better, is when he started going back to he's reverting to foul baiting. He's over there dribbling 15 times and doing a step back 3. He's doing some wild ass shit. He plays pickup basketball. He plays street ball, which is cool. We're not playing pickup. We're playing in the NBA. James Harden is like, he is so out for me. If Philly keeps him, they're not going to win a title. I can tell you that right now. They're not going to win a title. Yeah. Whatever team he's going to, you can only go ahead and just take their team off the finals list. Like, they're not going to win a final. Yeah. They're just not.
All right. Excellent arguments. I think you made your point. Although
I think I had a great demonstration.
Yeah, I will say though, in that, of course, the case is closed now, so no further evidence can be given to the jury. But I will say this: you missed a key piece of evidence where in that closeout game when Chris Paul was injured in the 2016. I think it was the 2016 Western Conference semis. James Harden went like 0 for 17 from 3, and the Rockets in general went like 0 for 40 or
27.
Like yeah,
27 from 3.
Yeah. So that's a key piece of evidence that you missed. But, again, the jury.
I didn't even need it.
Yeah.
I didn't need it, Your Honor.
All right, Garrett, now it is your turn. So there we go. All right.
Like he's trying to match our energy.
Yeah. All right. So do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth about this topic we are fixing to discuss?
Sure do.
All righty. So a argument, a debate as old as time itself. Nikola Jokic versus Joel Embiid. A lot of people in the league believe that not only is Joel Embiid the best center in the league, but that he is leaps and bounds ahead of Nikola Jokic, and that Embiid 2 years in a row was robbed. They use that phrase, robbed. There is a podcast that shall not be named that used to be a part of this company.
All day jerk off.
The co-host walked off of his podcast at the mere mention, before getting into statistics, the mere mention that Joel Embiid was robbed, that he deserves the MVP. And that was 2 years ago, and the same people, they debate the same things. They say, look at Joel Embiid. He's a much better defender than Jokic is. Jokic is too slow. Embiid's much more athletic. Look at Embiid in the post. He's a better three-point shooter. Look at him getting to the rack. Look at his ball handling skills. Look at the points he's consistently putting up. Jokic, he needs, for him to succeed, he needs Murray. You know, he doesn't have, anything. And then, Embiid has less help than what Jokic has. So, Garrett, why defend your man, why is Nikola Jokic better than Joel Embiid?
I will happily defend.
I will say this too. One more thing. I forgot to say. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but defenders of Embiid say that the only people that defend Jokic are advanced analytics nerds that put advanced stats and analytics over the eye test in the game itself. Anyway,
and Philly fans.
So, Your Honor, you bring an excellent case, and I am going to try to understand the opposition side of the view here. Philly's going to be on national TV a lot more. It's a big market. They play in the top end of an Eastern Conference. All the money's out east, basically, unless you're outside of the state of California. So I get it, Your Honor. You're going to see Philly a lot on TV. Joel Embiid is very outspoken. He's very vocal on the basketball court. He does the commercials. He's more marketable for the NBA. So naturally, fans of the NBA are going to watch Joel Embiid more. I understand that. That's all well and good. It also does not help that the Nuggets ownership are cheapskates and can't even produce their games on local TV for the past 3 years, let alone try to get national games for the Denver Nuggets. Denver is not a big market. Therefore, they're not going to be on TV a whole lot. I get it. That's well and good. To the analytics side of things, to the people that say, oh, the people who only want Nikola Jokic to an MVP are the analyst people, the advanced metrics and things like that. Nikola Jokic, last season, and I'm going to be missing some, but I'm going to name a lot. The comparison between Nikola Jokic and Joel Embiid are as follows. Points per game, Joel Embiid. Well and good. Rebounds per game, Nikola Jokic. Assists per game, Nikola Jokic. Steals per game, Nikola Jokic. Free throw percentage, Nikola Jokic. 3-point percentage, Nikola Jokic. Turnovers per game, Nikola Jokic. Blocks per game is very close. I think it might lean Joel Embiid, but it very well could be Nikola Jokic as well. 3-point shooting percentage, regular shooting percentage, free throws, all Nikola Jokic. To me, now I could be wrong, Your Honor, I don't think those are advanced metrics. I think those are common, everyday metrics. I think those is what people will understand. We're not going to get into...
The judge sustains your assessment.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'm not going to get into the true shooting percentage and things like that.
I think you have to bring it up. I think true shooting percentage. James Harden's true shooting percentage. Oh my God, out of this world.
Your Honor, can we kick him out of the courtroom?
He's objects of hearsay.
He's not a part of the defense.
Bailiff, Pacific Union, get this man.
Pacific Union. To the people that say Joel Embiid is better. I understand that you are just casuals. I get it. You're not actual NBA fans. You can't be it because the regular everyday stats show it. And to the argument that Joel Embiid is a better defender, I present the evidence that Nikola Jokic's defensive rating has gone up every year that he's been in the league. Genuinely. And the last 2 to 3 years have gone up by leaps and bounds. And this is factual. You can check the stats on. and you can at me if I'm wrong, but I'm not. Nikola Jokic has gotten better every single year he's been in the league on defense. And you would know this if you watched Denver Nuggets games, but I digress because we're not on TV. Your Honor, the advanced stats have nothing to do with this. It is the everyday stats, and it's the eye test. Nikola Jokic is the best passing big man in NBA history, and it's nowhere close. He makes his teammates better. He earns his teammates money. He got Jamal Murray the bag. He got Michael Porter Jr. the bag. He's going to get the rest of his teammates that are coming in for contract soon. He's going to earn them some money.
Aaron Gordon's getting paid quite a bit.
Aaron Gordon's getting. He's going to get paid. Will Barton is getting money. A guy like Monte Morris, when it comes up, he's going to be making some nice money as well because he complements Nikola Jokic very well, and vice versa in the pick and roll game. The advanced metrics have nothing to do with this. It's the eyeball test, and it is your everyday stats that show Nikola Jokic, and I listed the categories for you, is leaps and bounds better than Joel Embiid. I will say it right here. There is no debate. There isn't. There's no debate. Here's Nikola Jokic, and if I could pull my camera down near the floor, that's where Joel Embiid would be. That's the difference between the two players, genuinely.
Jeez.
There's no debate. If you put Joel Embiid on some of these other teams, he doesn't make as big a difference as if you take Nikola Jokic off this team and put him somewhere else. See who is better on those teams.
I agree.
All right. Do you close your case?
I will say Joel Embiid foul baits too. He learned that from Harden. I'm sure of it. I'm almost sure of it. He learned that shit from foul. Like he learned it. But I like this segment.
It's a fun segment. I'm glad. This is how we're gonna close every episode.
It's unique. I love it.
That's how we're gonna close every episode. And no, both of your points, by the way, just to say, if I could step out of the judge's seat, take off the wig and the robe,
The wig.
No, this is a 17th century courtroom, by the way, in case you guys didn't know. Okay. This is British parliamentary procedures happening in here. So unless you're British, you really don't have a case. So maybe Max.
She's a witch.
But no, I'm also not too big of a Harden, like as big of a fan as people make him out to be. Obviously he's a great scorer, but I'm also I like team basketball more than I like a guy watching dribble 20 of the 24 seconds on the shot clock out and chuck up a three just for hit backboard and no rim, especially in this past 2 seasons that he's been playing. And with the Jokic debate, I've always said that passing is what puts Jokic ahead. I probably won't be as harsh on Embiid as you were, Garrett. But I understand.
That's fair.
You gotta go defend your boy. So I understand that. I'll with the same ferocity that people attack Ja. I'll do the same thing. When that topic comes up.
You gotta defend your own.
You do.
And in Memphis and Denver, small market teams, we gotta defend our guys because nobody else will.
Listen,
why don't you defend Will Barton then?
Because Will Barton, no, I'm just kidding. I'm not going to.
That's the next time Garrett's on the show. Will Barton, it'll be the opposite though. Why don't you like Will Barton?
On the end.
Why don't you like Will Barton? But no, I agree. It doesn't matter if it's advanced statistics or the statistics that people pay attention to. Jokic leads in a majority of those statistics. When you talk about Embiid has the points, it's literally just a few more points. And if you want to talk about effective shooting percentage, Jokic blows Embiid out of the water on that case. So if you're looking at maybe a 2 to 3 point difference and one player is much more efficient than the other player, I'm going to take the much more efficient player who has less points, equal amount of rebounds, and more assists per game, because that just goes to show me that I have a better building block of a player. It also just works the way that Jokic works within the offense, because you literally have your center of the offense, which is a 7 foot tall Serbian Eastern block, just going to annihilate anything that comes into its path. What happened to Morris, who got turned into a vegetable for most, if not all, of the season after getting hit in the back.
Sounds like he fucked around and found out.
He did.
To me.
He in fact did.
One thing I forgot to mention as well, and I know the case is closed, but I just want to throw this out there as well. Nikola Jokic does not get injured. You hear that? I'm knocking on wood. I'm knocking on wood.
Yeah.
He doesn't get injured. Joel Embiid has a lot of injuries on his history.
Again, I throw that back to, and we're gonna close out the show because we're pushing a lot of time here. But I put that on that that the way that they play, especially like on defense and just offense and everything, it's two completely different types of games. Where yes, Embiid is a bit more athletic, but Jokic uses his he just like his situational awareness is much better. And so, and like, I've got a good friend that's a Nuggets fan, and we talk about this all the time, which I consider you a good friend too, Garrett, by the way. But I have another friend that is
we're work friends. That's what
separate from the site, who is also a Nuggets fan. So we've had plenty of these conversations where Embiid, like for instance, if you're guarding someone on the perimeter, obviously you know that's a big knock on Jokic is his defense, but really it's his perimeter defense that holds him back, but it's because he drops. It's because he's not as quick to keep up with some of the guards that he might get switched onto. Whereas Embiid is a bit more athletic, but the problem with Embiid is that he gets beat a lot. And there's a lot more layups that are being scored on him than there what is Jokic. Embiid is going to block more shots, but Jokic is still a 7-foot tall, 200-something pound Serbian man that's standing in the paint. So he doesn't have to jump to alter the shot. You're just scared that he is going to throw you into the ground and bury you in some, like, you know, old Soviet silo somewhere. That's what's going to happen to you.
My 2 cents is like Jokic has more basketball IQ, right? And his offensive game is that much better than Joel Embiid's. That Joel Embiid's defense, even though it's better than Jokic, doesn't outweigh like Jokic's offensive side. You know what I mean? His offensive advantage over him is not as much as Embiid's defensive advantage. You know what I mean?
At the end of the day, like a lot of everything else when talking about who's better, it's a lot of technical type of stuff, but at the end of the day, if there's one thing that it's like, all right, what's the one thing that separates these two? Again, it is the passing. That is what separates these two.
Disgusting.
It's the fact that if they're so close in pretty much every other category, it's like you could be like, oh, well, Embiid's better at X, Y, and Z, but then Jokic is like just a little bit behind him in those categories. But the passing 100%. So if Jokic is ahead in some and behind in other categories, it's the passing for me that is what sends Jokic over the top and was well deserving of 2 MVPs. But again, he will probably not win it this year, not because he's not deserving, but because it is writer's fatigue and he has not won a title, which is the reason why that Giannis was even in consideration for the title.
Yet.
We don't know.
There's like
can't write him off. Can't write him off. Remember, it took Giannis winning back-to-back MVPs and then not winning MVP to win a title, so maybe the same thing happens to Jokic. But that is going to do it for the very first episode of Court is in Session. I need to get a gavel, and when it's time to end, we bop. All right, Court is in recess now. The court is adjourned.
I love it.
Need to get that gavel, and it's got to have the Vendetta logo on it. We'll get on that. We'll get right on that. But anyway, Alex, Garrett, thank you guys so much for stopping by. I know we went way over time what I was initially intending for us to go to, but for everyone that stuck around and watched any portion of this, thank you so very much for tuning in for the first episode of Court is in Session. I can't promise a weekly podcast, but it's going to be as often as I can possibly do it, because we're obviously going to have an episode either recorded at the end of this week or Monday next week to talk about the draft. Hopefully get a couple Vendetta guests on there, and then of course after that it's going to be, since it's the off season, there could be weeks where there's a lot of news, there could be weeks where there's no news, and just kind of depending on guests, because I want to get guests from outside Vendetta, and I'm really going to try to put myself out there and try to bring other people of other fandoms, maybe even other sites, just whatever, really try to get this thing, because I want this to be the best podcast on Vendetta. So, and that's what I'm going to try to do. And because then that just lifts everyone else up too. When one of us succeeds, we bring everyone else up too, because that's how we do it here. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for joining me, and thank you so much for watching this episode. If you're watching us on YouTube, then make sure to go ahead and leave a like and subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you can be notified whenever a new episode of the podcast drops, or any other awesome content that we've got going on our YouTube page. You'll be notified when it goes out there. Thank you for listening to us. If you're listening to us on Spotify, I'm going to try to get it up on some other platforms as well, but specifically Spotify. Why are you guys just shrinking?
It's It's the
Don't worry about
elevator.
it.
It's
The elevator.
elevator.
Okay,
Got
you guys are leaving the class. Okay. Well, anyway, thanks again so much for watching. We'll see you guys next time.